Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about why people actually want to move to Sweden. Why is Sweden such an attractive country and more people consider moving to Sweden? Of course, with all the reasons I will mention in a bit, it also depends on where you're coming from. But you will see that all these reasons make a lot of sense. If you're new to my channel, I'm Yuli. I'm originally from Germany. In the past 10 years, I lived in London, UK, and exactly 3 months ago, I moved to Stockholm in Sweden. I wanted to document my journey here, my new adventure here in Sweden from the very beginning. So you will see there are already a few videos out there which you can follow along. Each week and each month new things are happening. There's a lot of tips what you need to move to Sweden or what you need to do when you arrive in Sweden. So hopefully the mix of my opinion, my thoughts and my processes as well as tips will want you to subscribe to my channel. But anyways, let's dive into the reasons why people want to move to Sweden. So the first topic I want to talk about is work. And the first kind of keyword here is work-life balance. Sweden is known for its great work-life balance. I think there are some other Nordic countries where the same applies. But yeah, that's definitely one reason why people want to move to Sweden. And to be fair, this should be a thing in every country. I can't believe that this has to be something special, People have to move to a country to actually achieve it because the whole country has this attitude of, just working efficiently, but also enjoying your private life. Of course, there's always exceptions. I'm sure there are companies out there or individuals who work a little bit longer than the usual hours. But in general, the country really stands for a good work-life balance. And does not everyone want a good work-life balance? Another thing about work life in Sweden as well is that there is really a flat hierarchy. So it's not so much about the boss here and everyone else here and you just do what the boss says. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, is actually encouraged to share their opinion. And I really like that in Sweden. What I actually find also really cool, and this is something no one really talks about, but there are quite cool companies in Sweden, especially in Stockholm. Startups, tech companies, it's not always so straightforward that these companies are originated or have their headquarters in Sweden. And of course, there's Spotify, Klarna, Acast, lots of cool companies, Maybe in years to come, more people will know about them. And of course, one thing I have to mention about work as well, there's a good system in place when you're not able to work. Of course, the system can always be abused. I think that's in every country the case, that there are some lazy people out there and they abuse the system. But if you just think about something happens to you, maybe because of illness, you can't work, you are taken care of by the government. I think that's a good feeling you have when you actually work in the country. Not to mention parental leave, which you're probably aware of, because the Nordic countries are very known for their parental leave benefits. Which actually brings me to the next topic, which is family. So yeah, talking about parental leave, that is definitely a big plus and a reason for people to move to Sweden. It's true that you have to pay more taxes here, although I will talk about this a little bit later as well. Something else I really like about Sweden is actually that the father has also a very particular role or gets more responsibility. And really, that's not common at all. Even if the Nordic countries are very well known for it, in other countries, it's not that common. Maybe Germany is also on a good way, but I have lived in the last 10 years in the UK and I even gave birth to my daughter there 3 years ago. And my partner had 2 weeks of leave. Yes, of course, he could have taken some leave and I could have worked. But what I like is that here you have automatically these 90 days for each person you have to take, and they're not interchangeable. If you don't take these 90 days, then it would be a shame basically. And obviously the benefits are much higher than when you go on parental leave in the UK. So I'm not going into the details what the actual benefits are, but I just wanted to mention it as a parent. This is a real benefit here in Sweden and a reason for people to move to Sweden. But furthermore, something I noticed obviously only when I moved here, maybe it's because I don't live in central London, but I have the feeling that people have children here. I see children everywhere. I feel like every person I see has almost a child attached to them. We also live close to like football fields, and every day there's so much activity. Parents are showing up with their children. So it's kind of a cool thing that you do a lot of things with your children here. And again, like use that private life to actually focus on your family. Of course, this might not be super unique to Sweden, but I have the feeling it's a child-friendly country, and that does count for something. So of course, this reason applies more for people who have children or who want to have children, but personally for me, that was definitely a big reason. And the third reason I want to talk about are the outdoors. Swedes know how beautiful their country is. I talked about this already in previous videos, but I think Stockholm is really beautiful. I think there's so much nature already within the city, so many lakes and also the sea. So I know that some people think Stockholm is not that great, but just imagine if you think Stockholm is great, how the rest of Sweden is even more beautiful. Although I haven't experienced this myself since I moved here, I have been actually to the archipelago before when I visited Sweden, but not since I moved here because, you know, life can be very stressful, but it's definitely on my to-do list to do that a lot next summer. And maybe if I can actually manage, I'm going to an island as well this weekend. Fingers crossed. And yeah, we talked a little bit here with some of you in the comments that winter is coming and winter might not be always, you know, the greatest part of Sweden when it comes to outdoors. But really, if you embrace it, I think there's so many things you can do. Skiing, you know, just walking in snow alone is also very beautiful. I mean, I'm not really a skier. I snowboarded a few times, but I want to take this opportunity now that I live in Sweden to pick it up again, and definitely also for my daughter to experience it. So I'm actually really excited about it. So talking about the outdoors, I also wanted to mention seasons as a reason for people to move to Sweden. I know this one now really depends where you're coming from, what you are used to. You know, someone from a hot country might struggle a little bit more, or the opposite is so excited to actually experience proper winter. You never know, it really is a personal opinion, a personal view you have there. But I can also say from my experience, I used to live in Singapore for 1 year, and only then I discovered how much I actually love the seasons. It was hot there all the time. Maybe there was a bit of a rainy season, but that was not even that pleasant. And when it stopped raining, it was absolutely humid and hot again. There was actually a crazy difference between the hot outside and then the super cold inside because there were lots of air conditions. And I even got a cold there because air conditions were super cold inside. Anyways, back to the seasons. I just love, you know, how each season has its own character. And I even celebrated Christmas in Singapore. And for me, again, I'm used to it. For me, Christmas time is cold. You know, I want to be outside with a glühwein, a mulled wine, at a Christmas market. You know, that's what I absolutely love. And I definitely struggle moving somewhere where that doesn't exist. And hey, it does exist in Sweden, and that makes me very happy. And I can imagine that is also the reason why people would want to move to Sweden. Already at the moment, when I open the window, I love this feeling of crisp, fresh air. You know, that is definitely something I missed in Singapore. And yeah, you can go skiing in Sweden. You can enjoy a cold Christmas time, the Christmas markets. You can go swimming in the summer and camping. So that's definitely what I'm planning to in a year. I think the proper seasons are a good reason for people to move to Sweden. Okay, let's talk about the Nordic lifestyle. Of course, Nordic lifestyle already implies that it is not only Sweden, but hey, Sweden is part of it, and therefore a reason why people might want to move to Sweden as well. I already like the culture, you know, I feel like it's very family focused. It's focused on your own well-being and having good connections with other people. All the traditions you have here in Sweden, for me, it shows that people value connections. I would say even to the Nordic lifestyle, when you look at the Nordic countries, the free healthcare and free education is part of this lifestyle as well. Of course, it's not entirely free because you do pay taxes, and they are not low, maybe not necessarily the highest in the world, but definitely not low. But yeah, I feel that also is part of the Nordic lifestyle. So when it comes to Nordic lifestyle, I would say that, culture is part of it, but also governmental systems. But furthermore, I think also to Nordic lifestyle belongs the Nordic design. And what I really like with this is it is not like overwhelming, it's the opposite. It has subdued colors, it's quite minimalist, and it's quite casual, especially when you look at the fashion. I don't know how Swedes are doing it. I mean, I was never really someone who was really good with fashion, but I can see that Swedes are definitely nailing it. And I hope by being surrounded by so many well-dressed people that I will pick up one of these skills for myself. So yeah, I don't know really who was the inventor of minimalism or in which country it was invented. But when I hear minimalism, I always connect it with the Nordic lifestyle. I think Swedes and people from Nordic countries really are good at minimalism. Of course, not everyone, but I would say there is a trend there in these countries. And there's also hygge. I know, it's Danish, but we're talking about Nordic lifestyle, and that is definitely also kind of practiced here in Sweden. And I love to be, around people who just know what they are doing. And talking about practicing, Swedish people are also very active, which I actually didn't know until I moved here. I can see so many people just like walking or running or doing some sort of activity. I mentioned the football fields earlier where people are just out there moving. I love it. I love it because I'm actually not the biggest fan of exercise and I really want to get into it. And again, it's really nice to be surrounded by people who are just nailing it already. Okay, my next point, I kind of already mentioned it, but I wanted to talk about calmness and, like the hygge I just mentioned earlier. This is kind of a result of, other reasons I mentioned earlier that, for example, people want to have a good work-life balance. So of course, I moved also a little bit outside of the city. It might not apply, for like city centers, although you can create this in your own home as well, no matter how loud it is outside, right? But yeah, I feel like Swedish people are really known for it to kind of create this little oasis in their homes. One thing I already noticed is I'm an absolute fan of that are fairy lights. That's also why I put these up now. I just love, that everyone has fairy lights in their windows, on their balconies, You can already feel the calmness when you just look from outside. I think Swedish people just know how to take care of themselves, how to focus on their own well-being. And yeah, just going out for a nice walk and these kind of things, I feel is quite Swedish. And I really want to adapt to that lifestyle as well. And that's why I think people want to move to Sweden. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about safety. Yes, despite some people commenting that Sweden is not safe, that some cities are not safe, that Sweden has an increasing crime and that there's lots of rape going on, do watch my previous videos where I talk about this. And also read the comments because there are many people who clarify and have useful links to actually look up statistics. So I'm here to say that Sweden is pretty safe. I come from London and I feel definitely safer here in Stockholm than I felt in London. And I lived there for 10 years. I mean, safety compared to, some other countries always has to be seen in relation. But when it comes to a personal perspective, it is about, can you go outside, even in the dark, and just in general, feel safe when you do so. Of course, things are happening across the world in every country. There is never 100% guarantee for safety, but you know, Sweden is really safe. I mean, I mentioned family and kids already earlier, so I can see like kids being outside here, you know, 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds, girls and boys by themselves. And I feel this is something I could not imagine in London, to be honest. So it feels already very different. So I think it is a reason why people also want to move to Sweden. So I hope you liked this video. Thanks so much for watching till the end. I will see you in my next video. Have a great day and stay safe. Hej då!